Good morning, Kingswood. Welcome back to Night Watch. Today we have our normal segments like sports, gaming, entertainment, weather, music, and the most dreaded one of them all, dad jokes. So stick around to see what we have in store for you today.
Howdy everybody, how's everyone doing today? I am Damon Thurber.
And I'm Lauren Gilbert.
That you are. And welcome to Night Watch. So this one's probably going to be a bit long because after today I am not going to be appearing in the anchoring position again because I have new classes next semester. So we decided to make this a bit of a sentimental send-off, you know? Same goes for Devin and Elliot. But without any further ado, let's get right into the news. Kingswood Sports. Girls basketball will be taking on Bishop Brady in a home game, and boys basketball will be taking on Bishop Brady at, where else, Bishop Brady High School. On Saturday, boys hockey will take on Dover, and girls hockey will take on Keene. Good luck, Knights. And, since I mentioned sports, like summoning a butler, here comes sports with Elliot Giesler.
Good morning, Kingswood, and welcome back to the Night Watch Sports segment, Semester Finale Edition. Today, I'm going to take a little departure from the normal format and do a deeper dive into one player who has really piqued my interest this season. And then later in the segment, I'm going to talk about the NBA shooters. But first, I'm going to tell you why I think Joe Burrow should be the MVP of the NFL. Right, hold on. Before you skip past the rest of the segment, let me just say, I don't hate Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady. They've both been phenomenal this season. Brady leading the league in yards and touchdowns at age 44, Aaron doing basically the Aaron thing. They've both been great, but I think the word valuable is what we need to focus on here. I think Burrow has been more valuable to his team than either of those guys have. Let's start by saying he's had the worst O-line of the three by far. Tampa Bay's offensive line is ranked second, and Aaron's is ranked 14th. However, they're getting David Bakhtiari back, meaning they're only going to get better going forward. And Burrow's is 20th, and he's been sacked 51 times, the most of any quarterback in the league. And he's still managed to put up numbers like this. That's incredible. Now, he's also led the league in completion percentage, yards per attempt, big pass plays, which are plays of 30 yards or more, and touchdowns of 20 yards or more. Now, this combination would be impressive anyway, but the fact that he led the league in all four together is even crazier. Because usually the guy who throws the ball down the field the most, like Burrow has, is the guy who doesn't have a very good completion percentage because it's harder to complete those throws. But Burrow's doing that and completing 70% of his passes. That is, I mean, it's unheard of, really. Like, Patrick Mahomes does this kind of thing, but he doesn't lead the league in completion percentage. Tom Brady's been doing this kind of thing. He doesn't. Aaron Rodgers usually has a pretty good completion percentage, but he likes to take stuff a little bit shorter and then to throw the ball down the field. Look at Burrow here. He's just going straight to 15 yards, 20 yards, 30 yards, except for something like that, but that's actually kind of rare. All right. Now, Burrow also won less games than the other two. I will give you that. However, he was in probably the best division of the three. I mean, the Bears, the Lions, and the Vikings isn't exactly a murderer's row of teams to face, and the Saints are pretty good, but playing the Panthers and the Falcons twice a year, I don't want to call it a cakewalk, but it's not great. I mean, two of the top 5 sack leaders were in Joe Burrow's division, T.J. Watt and Myles Garrett, and all 3 other teams were top half of the league in sacks, meaning they're sacking the quarterback more than average, and he's had to face 6 times this year. Everyone else in Aaron's division were bottom half. That's the Bears, the Lions, and the Vikings. So he's consistently getting pressure put on him by his division opponents, and the other guys really aren't, other than, like I said, the Saints for Brady, but the Falcons and the Panthers aren't very good. So I'm not going to just give him full credit because he played 2 good teams. Now, let's move to coaching. Zach Taylor's been a good coach this season, but I don't think it's a hot take to say that Matt LaFleur and Bruce Arians are just by far better. Bruce Arians is probably going in the Hall of Fame, and Matt LaFleur is one of the most creative play designers and play callers in the entire league. And other than Sean McVay, I don't think he's particularly close to anyone who's not directly in his coaching tree. Now, there's one big deterrent for most people on why they think Burrow shouldn't be the MVP. It's the interceptions. I get it. 14 picks looks bad. But think about it this way. If you look at the NBA, James Harden and Russell Westbrook, back-to-back years, won MVPs. And they were incredibly high turnover guys because they had the ball in their hands because their team trusted them. When you have the ball in your hand a lot, especially to end games, you're going to turn it over because guys are coming after you. That's just going to happen. Now, if you want a more direct example, look at Brett Favre and Peyton Manning. They're the top 2 interception leaders all time. Those guys have thrown more interceptions than anyone else in league history. Peyton Manning has 5 MVPs. Brett has 3. And I know you're not about to tell me that you don't think Brett Favre or Peyton Manning are very good. So that's the crux of my argument. Do with it what you will. I think Burrow's the MVP. Moving to the NBA. There's been a very interesting phenomenon this season. Shooters are struggling a lot. The NBA's league-wide three-point percentage is around 35% right now, the lowest it's been since the 03-04 season. Now, there are a few obvious factors to look at here. For one, the NBA changed its foul rules. This means players might take shots that they know will miss, but they're expecting to get a call that'll send them to the line. They don't get the call, and it goes on the stat sheet as a miss, which affects their shooting percentage. Duh. One obvious case of this is a guy like James Harden, who has historically made a career out of getting to the free throw line. His shooting has gone down so far this season that there have actually been talks about trading him. They're not, serious, really, but they have been talked about, and James Harden has said he'd be open to moving to another situation. By the way, Nets, if you want Jaylen Brown or something, I will walk James Harden to Massachusetts. Okay, anyway, back to the, rule changes. Defenses can now also play it a little tighter on the perimeter, making contesting a jump shot a lot easier for them. However, the interesting thing about these rule changes that I've mentioned is that they've been kind of relaxed a little bit as the season has gone on. Players are starting to get back to the line about as much as they used to last year, so I can't say that this is the biggest reason. Now, another thing that affects some, but obviously not all players, is the fact that we had the Olympics last summer. I'm going to talk mostly about Damian Lillard here because he's the most obvious example of it. On the season, Damian Lillard's shooting percentages are currently down 5% from the floor, 7% from 3, and 5% from the line. He's also averaging 5 less points per game, and his team is struggling a lot because of this. As far as I can tell, this stems mostly from an abdominal injury that he suffered towards the end of last year's playoffs, which got worse during the Olympics as he tried to play through it, and then he immediately had to turn around and report to Blazers preseason workouts. So that makes it almost a year of non-stop basketball with games every other night as the only superstar on his team. Nobody else is really carrying the load. And the Blazers have shut him down for a couple weeks at a time, multiple times this year, and each time he comes back, he looks a little bit better. However, he's now having surgery on that injury, and he's going to be out for 6 weeks. So maybe he'll come back looking better, but the Blazers season is probably over. Now, let's look at the elephant in the room, Steph Curry. I don't really know what to say about him other than the things I mentioned earlier and just chalking it up to a slump. The thing is, though, we've never seen him slump like this for this long. Ever since he broke the three-pointers record, he's been shooting below league average from 3, and his overall percentage for the season is the lowest we have ever seen it. He's currently at 38.4%, which is still pretty good, but by far below his standards. I think if I really had to diagnose a league-wide problem, I'd chalk it up to our own expectations. Despite what this segment might have sounded like, I love Damian Lillard and Steph Curry and James Harden and all these great shooters in the NBA. And we've been really, I think the word is blessed to have so many great shooters and great shooting seasons over the last 15 years, 10 years, whatever, that one slightly down year starts to make us think the sky is falling. I mentioned earlier that the league's three-point percentage is down, which is true, but it's only down maybe 1 percentage point. I think we have to accept that these things happen, and the percentages are going to improve. Nothing is wrong. Everyone's just kind of in a slump, and that starts to affect the guys around you. And, those same guys have proven to us that slumps like this don't last for that long at the NBA level. Well, that's going to do it for me, Kingswood. Thank you for joining me this semester, and hopefully this won't be the last of the segment. Have a good weekend, and now, back to the news.
Hello, Kingswood. Welcome back to Entertainment News with your host, yet again, Lauren Gilbert. We've got a fair amount to cover today, so let's just jump right into it. I know everyone has probably seen it by now, but MGK and Megan Fox have officially gotten engaged. But what makes this moment so strange is that they, and I kid you not, drank each other's blood after the proposal. What? Brian Austin Green, aka Megan Fox's ex-husband, who she was married to for 10 years, said, and I quote, "I am not surprised." Yikes. The Coachella lineup has been announced with Harry Styles, Billie Eilish, and Ye as the headliners. Some other people you can see are Doja Cat, Emotional Oranges, Conan Gray, 21 Savage, City Girls, Giveon, Danielle Caesar, Big Sean, and so much more. Get the cake out and light some candles because today's the day these lucky celebrities were born. J. Cole, who turns 36, Caleb Worthy, who turns 30, Elijah Wood, who turns 40, and Will Poulter, who turns 28. And now, as part of my new portion of the segment, here is What's Up With That Guy. Our victim for today is Bobby Lebrec. What's up with that guy?
Well, here's the question. What's up with you?
Anyways, here's what's coming to Netflix as of February 2022. New Year's Eve, That's My Boy, The Lucky One, Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen, and the first 3 episodes of a documentary about one of the most well-known entertainers of our generation, Kanye West. Instead of reviewing a movie, I've wholeheartedly decided to review one of my all-time favorite shows, Criminal Minds. The basis of the show revolves around 7 or 8, varies between seasons, FBI agents and their investigations to figure out who's committing the serial killings of that episode. Every episode is a different crime investigation. Unless it's near the end of the season, then it'll typically trickle into the next episode. And every episode is uniquely different in its own way. The culprits have varied from a family therapist to a struggling artist out in LA. I'm not lying when I say that this show has made me second-guess nearly anyone I've ever met or talked to since watching the show. This show consists of 15 seasons, and there might be a potential add-on where the whole season solely revolves around one culprit. I hope they do add on because I think that will be really interesting to see. You can binge watch the show on Hulu and Netflix. Thank you for watching Entertainment News. Once again, I'm Lauren Gilbert, and I'm signing out.
You know, I've always wondered, what is it that makes a mind a criminal mind?
Excellent question. I don't really know.
I should hope you don't.
Well, the Kingswood finals have come to a close. Good job on making it through one half of the year. Only one semester left to keep up the good work. And now we have music with Bobby Lebrec.
Hey, Kingswood. How are we all today? I'm your host, Bobby Lebrec, and this is the final episode of Music Corner. I know. Oh my God, it's sad, but today we're going to review 2 artists today. So let's not waste any time and get started. To start off this episode, we're going to review what is on my sweatshirt that I wear every single episode, My Chemical Romance. You guys finally had the time to... My Chemical Romance is an American rock band from Newark, New Jersey. The band's current lineup consists of lead vocalist Gerard Way, lead guitarist Ray Toro, rhythm guitarist Frank Iero, and bassist Mikey Way. The band formed in 2001 and have 4 studio albums. I hope they soon make a new album since they came back not so long ago in 2019 for a reunion tour. The albums that My Chemical Romance has made are I Brought You My Bullets, 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge, The Black Parade, which is such an iconic album, and Danger Days. Their recent release was being Danger Days, which came out in 2010, but that's besides the point. On March 22nd, 2013, this is the day where music died. The band broke up, and the world was in shock when they found out what happened. A lot of people were really upset, especially their fans, because obviously they're their fans, so it means a lot to them. Now at this time, a lot of emos, such as me even, get very emotional when the first note of Welcome to the Black Parade plays. Such painful times. It hurts. But here's a snippet of one of my favorite songs off the album The Black Parade. This song you guys probably heard or never heard before, and no, it's not Welcome to the Black Parade, even though it's a really good song. But here's a song called I Don't Love You from the album The Black Parade. Enjoy. Another sad song that is beautifully produced, I Cry Every Time. Also, fun fact, after the band broke up a year later, they released a greatest hits album called May Death Never Stop You on March 25th, 2014. This album has the best songs from the group on one album, which is pretty good if I do say so myself. But not as good as the next artist that I'll be discussing for the episode, which is a band that I listen to more than I listen to My Chemical Romance. No offense, I still love my MCR, Devin Mumford. But this artist that we're going to talk about next is another duo band called 21 Pilots. You heard them, you know them, Stressed Out, Ride, all of their popular songs. But anyways, 21 Pilots is a duo band from Columbus, Ohio, with band members consisting of Tyler Joseph and Josh Dunn. Such small beans. They formed in 2009 and have 6 studio albums such as Self-Titled, Regional at Best, which is my favorite album of all time, Vessel, Blurry Face, Trench, and their recent release, Scaled and Icy. The 2 albums before Vessel, which is Self-Titled and the Regional at Best, were under the 21 Pilots label until they got signed to Fueled by Ramen in 2012, and they sadly had to sacrifice those 2 albums. On the brighter side, Self-Titled is the only one of the albums that is on streaming services, unlike Regional and Best, which is my favorite album from them, is no longer available to stream or purchase, unless if you want to buy a $100 CD copy from eBay, then you could say this album was rare to find. Very sad times. So, this part is hard to decide since all of their songs, well, almost all of them, Heathens I just don't like, are incredible. But if I had to pick a favorite song from them, it would be Car Radio from the album Vessel. Really hits hard in my opinion. I recommend it a lot. And it's not just on Vessel though, might I add. It's also on Regional Best with like an early version of it, but I like the Vessel version better. Also, a fun fact about this band is that they sadly went on a 1-year hiatus after the release of Blurry Face. In July 2017, fans began to come up with theories of when the band will come back from the hiatus. But on July 11, 2018, the band broke from the hiatus and released a new song announcing their new album, Trench. Well, guys, it's been fun, but that's all the time we have for you today, and for the show even. I had a great time sharing my favorite musical material with you guys, so this is my final goodbye for Music Corner, and always remember, your memories will carry on.
Howdy folks, welcome to what is likely my final episode of Game of the Week. As always, I'm your host Damon Thurber, and this week I wanted to finish with a bang and talk about a game that really means a lot to me. This week we are talking about a little indie game known as One Shot. In One Shot, you follow the adorable protagonist Nico, who finds himself waking up in a strange place, unsure of how they got there. After a short puzzle involving a TV remote and a code needed to boot up a computer, a series of pop-up messages appear on the computer's screen. However, from the way that they're written, it's obvious that these messages aren't meant for Nico. They're meant for you, the player. This is where you encounter the first of many fourth wall breaks that this game will employ in order to tell its story in one of the most uniquely immersive ways I've ever seen. After all of the error messages have been played out on the in-game computer, the game will suddenly create a pop-up message on your computer using your actual name to tell you that you only have one shot for this game. It's here that I'd like to touch on the role that you play in the story. In this game, there is a very, very distinct separation between Nico and the player. While yes, you're the one making Nico physically move around their world, you and them are two very different beings. In One Shot, you play the role of God. No, I'm not just saying this as a joke. The game makes it very clear that in their world, you are their God and that Nico is your Messiah. This idea of you being God played an even more prominent role in the game's original release. See, One Shot didn't always look and play this way. It was originally released for free online, made in an engine called RPG Maker. The version released on Steam is a complete ground-up remake of that version. In the original, the one-shot idea was taken to its absolute extreme. You were only allowed to open and play the game once. If you played through the entire game, the ending would lock you out of replaying it. However, the most cruel twist, if you closed the game at any point, Nico would die. Permanently. Upon booting the game back up after closing it, you would be greeted by the utterly haunting sight of what you've done. On the title screen, where Nico once stood, lies only their hat and scarf. In the game's logo, where the giant light bulb used to shine brightly, it instead lies dark and shattered. And if you try to start the game from this title screen, you're shown the bed that Nico is meant to wake up in completely empty as an ominous droning noise can be heard in the background. After a few seconds of this, you get a pop-up. You killed Nico. This is an absolutely horrifying way to play out the one-shot concept, but it's incredibly effective. It's something no other game has done anywhere near this extent. There's really no other way to say it. You really only did have one shot. Thankfully, in the Steam release, this was removed. Now, whenever you attempt to close the game will automatically save your progress, and you can safely reopen it and continue from where you left off next time. This does have an in-game explanation, however. Upon reopening the game, Nico will comment on how the whole world suddenly went dark, and how afraid they were during it. With that out of the way, let's get back into the story. So, after our first fourth wall break, Nico makes their way down into the basement of this mysterious place they found themselves in. And they come across something peculiar. At the bottom of the stairs, they find a giant light bulb. This is an extremely important item to the game's story, as the entire plot revolves around Nico carrying it. They then bring it upstairs, where they can use it to open a previously locked door. This is where the adventure truly begins. They take a trip outside and are greeted by the sight of a rocky blue landscape known as the Barrens. They have a short conversation with the resident prophet robot, who informs them that the light bulb they carry is actually this world's sun, and that Nico's job is to put it back in its place to bring sunlight back to the world. This is also where Nico communicates with you, the player, for the first time. It's nothing more than a simple greeting for now, but over the course of the game, Nico will grow more and more attached to you, talking to you more often. The Barrens is the area of the game where you will most likely realize that the puzzles in this game revolve around finding items, combining them in your inventory, and using them on your surroundings. One example of this is needing to create a cleaning solution by combining a bottle of phosphor and some poisonous gas in a jar to create an acidic solution, then pouring it on a sponge and using it to clean rust off of a robot. You can also find interesting bits of flavor text should you keep one item equipped and interact with certain things. For example, in the Barrens' robot factory, if you were to equip the sun and interact with a pressing machine, Nico will actually call you out for it, angrily telling you they're not going to shatter the sun in that thing. This will also net you the achievement Chaotic Evil, which I find funny. For the sake of time, I'm not going to go over every step of the game, as this isn't a walkthrough, but I'll be hitting the important bits. The Barrens are also the first place to really show you how dire things have gotten without the sun. Its residents have had to resort to using bioluminescent shrimp to light things up, as there's no sun to provide that light anymore. They collect them in jars, in pools, anything to just keep that visibility. Once Nico has made their way through the Barrens and reached the boat-bound robot, aptly named Robot, they're on their way out to the second of the 3 main areas they'll visit, the Glen. The Glen is inhabited by a species of adorable little bird people, but the situation for them is somehow even worse than it is in the Barrens. In their land, the water levels are beginning to rise, and all of the plant life is beginning to die off in the absence of the sun. The area is also home to one of my favorite fourth wall breaks in the game. At one point during their trip, Nico will encounter a tile puzzle on the floor of an old building, with the tiles lighting up as they step on them. There's a specific pattern they need to create in order to solve this puzzle, but the only way to know that pattern is by looking at your desktop, as the game will have changed your wallpaper to an image of the solution. It's stuff like this that makes me love this game. It really immerses you in a way that most other games could only dream of pulling off. After some trading, sheep herding, and general work around the Glen, along with a short period of leaving the sun with a withering plant lady, Nico can make their way to the game's third and final area, and my personal favorite, the Refuge. This is a large city where most of the game's human characters live. It's here that they'll come across these strange blobs of red and black pixels, which appear to be consuming and corrupting the robots scattered about, as well as destroying general infrastructure and certain buildings and whatnot. They'll have to explore around the city's catwalks in order to find the various parts they'll need in order to create a makeshift button to open the central elevator, or if you're like me, screw it up and create an item called You Tried. This then leads them down to the city's surface level, where they'll have to make their way into a library to meet with the city's head of all knowledge, a scholar named George. In order to do this, they'll need to get a library card from another NPC, as well as a photo of themselves to attach in place of the previous owner's photo. They can get the photo from solving a camera puzzle that I just brute forced my way through because I couldn't for the life of me figure out how you're actually supposed to find the order the lenses go in. You can actually take up to 12 photos of Nico, one of which they'll blink in, which is actually reflected on the sprite of the item. Once you've got that taken care of, be sure to stop by the residential area where you can go into one room, find a Roomba, and pressure Nico into riding it. Then, it's time to move on to the game's It's time to move on to the game's final act, the Tower. However, I'm not going to show you anything past this point, as it's best experienced for yourself. What I will say, though, is that once you finish this game, it's over. No resets, you don't get to go back and try again. Or do you? See, I'm not going to spoil anything, but all I'll say is that your titular one-shot may not be where Nico's story ends. As for my thoughts on the game, I think it's unlike anything I've ever played before. The soundtrack is incredible, perfectly capturing the feeling of exploring a dying world. It feels bleak, dire, yet with a tinge of hope, perfectly befitting for a land on the brink of death awaiting the return of its savior. The art is really well done. I especially love all of the full screen vignettes that they've made for when you enter certain areas, such as this portrait behind me for when Nico enters the refuge for the first time. And Nico themselves is absolutely adorable. Their dialogue sprites are really expressive, and I love their character design with that long scarf, cat-eared hat, whisker-like hair, and big baggy coat. It's absolutely precious. And then there's the immersion. The way this game involves the player is, like I've said before, unlike anything I have ever seen. The way Nico talks to you is adorable. Even if the advice they ask for is on rather mundane topics, it really makes you feel like they're a real person and that you're accompanying them on their adventure. It lets you really grow attached to them on a level that you don't really get with most other games. The fourth wall breaks are really cool. They're not just there for show, they're actually integral parts of the game, such as that wallpaper puzzle I showed off earlier. They even have a lore implication, but that's encroaching dangerously on gargantuan spoiler territory. I know I've basically run through the entire game's plot in this, But there are some parts of this game I will not be talking about here, as they're things you really need to see and experience for yourself. If you want to play this game for yourself, and I highly recommend you do, you can get the game on Steam. I know I say this all the time, but I really mean it. If you are even slightly interested, please, please get this game. This has been Game of the Week. My name is Damon Thurber, and thank you for joining me over the course of this series. It's been a wild ride, folks. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Thank you, Damon. That looked like a magnificent game to play.
Yeah, so good I could speak about it for 12 minutes straight. The theater class is performing a show called The Other Room by Ariadne Blade, somebody whose name most of my classmates could fail to pronounce. Bobby. The dates for the show are the 27th and 28th of January, and the admission is free. We hope to see you there. And if you're in the mood for something a lot less entertaining, here's Dad Jokes with Jaden Bronk.
Hello, this is Jaden Bronk with Dad Jokes. This is the last joke of the semester. So, I'm going to be really sad that all of you are going to be leaving.
Congratulations.
Half of you are leaving. Inserts sad emoji.
Who?
You.
Cares.
Anyway, let's get this show started. What do you call a fat psychic?
I don't know.
A fortune teller. What do you call a typo on a headstone?
What?
A grave mistake.
Oh, these really are painful.
The adjective for metal is metallic, but not for iron, which is pretty ironic. My wife said I can think of 14 reasons to leave you, plus your obsession with tennis. I said, that's 15, love.
Don't know what that means.
Okay. My friend says, hey, I found this app which gets me into secret bars full of single people. I go up to him and I say, you're joking. Then he says, only on Thursday. Alright. A genie granted me with one wish and one wish only, and so I said, I just want to be happy. Now I'm living in a cottage with 6 dwarves and a working mine.
I don't get that one.
You've never seen Snow White?
No.
Okay, well, we're wasting time. All right, I hope you have an amazing rest of your semester, Kingswood. I love you all.
Goodbye.
You are an amazing audience.
Goodbye.
I'm going to miss you.
Goodbye.
Take care.
Hope I never see you again.
Have a great day. Okay. Love you.
Bye.
Man, if there is one thing I'm going to miss about this show, it is not that.
Definitely painful as always, but I'm going to miss that part.
Wait, what do you mean?
Get your grub on because lunch for Monday is teriyaki chicken, Tuesday are hot dogs, Wednesday is shepherd's pie, Thursday is chicken drumstick, and Friday is pizza. And now we're on to weather with Devin.
Good morning, Kingswood. Welcome to your weekly weather report, and I am your host, Devin Mugford. Let's get right into this. On Friday, it's going to be a high of 32, a low of 12. It's going to be partly sunny, wind speeds around 9 miles per hour, and it's going to be about a 20% chance of snow. Getting into Saturday, though, we're going to get some bad weather. It's going to be snowy, 90% chance of snow, a high of 21, a low of 6, around 7 miles per hour. On Sunday, it's going to come back into the partly cloudy weather with it's going to be really windy, as you can see, 17 miles per hour of the wind speeds. It's going to be a low of 2 and a high of 21, so yeah, be expecting cold. Let's get into the weather around the state. Now, as you can see, it's going to be roughly high 20s to low 30s, except around Littleton, it's going to be around 23. Around us, it's going to be around 32, so you can expect some good weather. Well, folks,
this is your final weather report from me. It's been an interesting ride. And remember, as my famous quote says, it's never too cold to wear shorts. This is Final Weather Report. Me, Devin Mugford. See you later.
Never too cold indeed, Devin. Never too cold indeed.
Have you ever wondered what goes on behind the scenes of Night Watch and what our bloopers look like? Well, here you go, because we have a short blooper reel to show you that Devin and Jaden have wholeheartedly put together.
It's not a thank God situation. You know
Yes,
how
it is.
you know how many audience members we have, and how our reputation has grown mainly because of dad jokes.
Man, you finally told a
Sound.
good joke.
The singer in the band has a lot of energy when it comes to vocalization.
God.
I feel like the Dwayne Johnson smolder.
Can make without getting sued. Here's dad jokes with Jaden.
Oh, hi. Look, it's us. Spectacular. Spectacular as our our Halloween special, but we hope you'll enjoy it nonetheless. I mean, I'm wearing a Santa hat. What?
Have you? Oh, hold on. We'll just cut it from that point. What do you mean? I can't even see the top laugh today. Well, you're gonna laugh a whole lot more with dad jokes. With today's jokes, I'm gonna tell my fellow news anchor. Oh my. Hold on. How about you can.
I have no more jokes ready. So, I suppose I'll see you next time. I'm very lonely.
My fruit, and in this bowl I have cranberries, apples, and pears, and I have soaked my cranberries in water because I am currently using dried. So I'm just going to cook these until they're tender. So,
Thank you, that was very funny. I got
Thank
a
you for
couple
that,
laughs
Devin.
out of it.
It's always good to, you know what they say, it's always good to know when to laugh at yourself.
Absolutely, so true.
And I feel like that's a perfect segue into our final segment for today's episode. We've had a lot of fun over the course of producing this, and while some of us are going to continue, namely Lauren, Bobby, and Jaden, after this semester ends, for some of us, it's not going to be quite that way. I'm not going to be able to anchor after I enter the next semester. Neither will Devin or Elliot. So, as a bit of a send-off, we decided to conduct an interview with the one, the only, Mr. Giesler. He's the guy who has been spearheading this entire production, and we could not have done any of this without his help. So without any further ado, thank you for everything. Let's roll the interview.
And good morning. My name is Mr. Giesler, a.k.a. Scott Giesler, a.k.a. I don't know. I am here with the Level 1 Television Studio Production class, a.k.a. Multimedia 1, out of the Lakes Region Technology Center. It is absolutely a privilege to be talking to these guys. This is the production team that has been working on Night Watch for the last semester, and what a great ride it's been. We're reaching the end of the semester, and hopefully not the end of their run yet, because we do have semester 2. We're going to be trying to do some things as well. But we're at this sort of waypoint, and we're with these guys right now. Guys, congratulations, by the way, just right off the bat. I want to jump in. You have handed me questions here, so I'm going to just ask them right back to you. So I'm going to look down at the phone. And the first question I have for you is, what was the hardest thing to master in the studio?
Let's go like this.
The hardest thing for me, I think that was a struggle, was probably doing QLab, but then it got progressively better, and I understood it way better. So
Okay, for the folks at home, what is QLab?
QLab is a software you can use to fire cues for like shows
And graphics.
and graphics. Yeah.
It's essentially, it's what we use to display things like if we have a video clip that we want to play, that's how we put it up on the screen. Things like that.
Same thing with sound effects. Like when you hear dad jokes, the badum psh is from QLab.
Yeah,
Fire
you can
them
use
off.
little fire hotkeys and stuff.
Yeah.
Got that right out of the bat.
Other people, what was the hardest thing to master?
I think sound was the hardest thing
Oh
for
my
me.
God.
Because you have to do so much at once, and you have to be checking the volume the entire time. You can't just sit back.
It's just
and
Damon's
watch.
nightmare.
Oh yeah. I had a great time with sound.
I honestly think probably it's going to either be the teleprompter or anchoring. Syncing up the teleprompter to the remotes was a little troublesome at times, and sitting there and anchoring was a little nerve-wracking, but other than that, I think everything was pretty easy.
Elliot?
I'm going to go a little more specific. I think network cues were a little difficult because I do the sports report and I use the TV. And in order to do that, what we have to do is we have to hook up QLab in the studio to QLab on the computer that's out there next to me. And we have to use things called network cues. And it was always just a pain to have to set up the dimensions of how I want it displayed on the TV and match that up to what's in the studio. And it took a while, but we got there.
Jaden, how about you?
I would have to say I would actually agree with Bobby, because it is truly a pain to deal with QLab and each graphic, but I do think of it as coding. It's like you put one cue and you set it up. There's a certain setting you have to set to it. And
Yeah, the
it's a process.
auto continues and the auto follows were like really difficult for me to understand. I like kind of got used to them. So
All right, now that we've completely nerded out our tech here for the audience, let's flip the script. What was the most fun thing you guys did?
QLab. I loved QLab so much.
Kind of mixed messages here, Lauren. I don't know.
I don't know. I
Audience won't know what to
I
think.
really liked doing the anchoring and stuff. I think that the anchoring is like
Yeah.
pretty fun to do, and like
Mhm. Damon?
especially when it's
Oh,
with like
sorry, Bob.
people. Sorry, no worries. Especially doing with some of my good friends.
I mean, if that's what you want to call it, then sure.
Damon, how about you? The most fun thing?
I think I would say doing my segments, but honestly, I think the most fun part about this class was just the kind of things that we as a group got up to, like all of the fun little conversations that we've had in the studio, all that kind of stuff. I mean, the blooper reel is kind of a good example of how we have fun with this sort of thing, and I feel like another good example was. And I'm not going to give any context on this because I think it's funnier kept as an inside joke, but I think our little Helen Keller conversation was definitely one of my favorites.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
All right. Jaden.
I feel like getting along with everyone was probably the best part. Even though you have a specific, let's say, what's the word? Objective to do. You have your own mission to do something. Like you either are floor director, you're anchoring, anything you do in this class is fun, and you do get along with everyone. At first, I was super shy. I did not know a single person here. Next thing you know, it's like a whole another family. I think it's awesome.
Elliot?
I'd say I just like being on camera and like being able to talk about stuff that like I understand and I know about. Like I do the sports show, and it's just fun because that's something that I genuinely do care about, and getting to talk about that in front of a camera and give it away to people, it's fun. And then I mean, other than that, just working all week with a group of people and then seeing what it looks like at the end is always satisfying.
Devin?
Not gonna lie, I enjoyed the sing-alongs we had inside the booth over there. Those were always entertaining.
How you guys would always clap along to my gaming intro.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so you start off coming in knowing, I don't want to say knowing nothing, because each of you probably brought some knowledge base to the class, but
I knew nothing.
obviously you weren't a team, you didn't know this specific equipment perhaps. What would you say was what things with the show have improved most since the beginning?
I'd say maybe, I don't know how to phrase this, but I want to say like the kinds of things that we have, I want to say like the kinds of things we've been able to pull off, because stuff like the lightning cue that we used during the Halloween broadcast, we would never have been able to pull that off at the beginning of class.
Yeah.
But over time, when we started learning more about the intricacies of QLab and how everything worked with the lighting system and the sound effects, we were able to sort of pull that together and make it work more than we would have been able to right at the beginning of the semester.
Yeah, QLab was. I agree with Damon. QLab was a struggle. Like we at first we were like, oh, what when you were trying to show how to use it, and we were just like, oh gosh. And then over time we got used to it, and then we're like, okay, this is a quick thing to do. So when I do my music corner, it's like, yeah, it's quick.
It's an intimidating little program to look at, and then when you realize how much that it does, it's like, oh my God, it's a lot of different directions it goes.
It's like, oh my
Yeah.
God, look,
Yeah.
look, things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other people?
I'm not gonna lie. I think looking at it now, I think the camera switcher is probably the hardest part for me. I looked at it and I was like, there's so many buttons, I don't know what to click.
I think we've become a lot more sort of aware of ourselves. Like we've been able to figure out what we do well, and stuff just like we're not always trying to do like the best transitions into segments. I mean, probably our most used transition is we don't have a transition for this, so here's whatever segment. Like we understand now. Like I think at the beginning we were a little tighter, but we kind of loosened up a little bit, and we know ourselves and we know what we're good at. So I think that's helped us just make a better show.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone else want to chime in on that? Most improved? Okay. So let me ask you this question. So on the flip side, what was the things that came most natural to you, the easiest?
I think anchoring.
Yeah, doing anchoring and doing all that.
Yeah.
I think one thing that like, well, yeah, I was pretty good with anchoring just because I've got that sort of like, I want to be, as I've probably told a million other people in the past, I do want to be a voice actor, so being able to get up in front of the camera and actually like emote with stuff, especially with things like the Halloween broadcast where I put on that whole persona. I mean, that was a different person, not me, definitely not me, but
yeah, totally someone else. I don't know who that is.
But another thing that I feel like kind of came naturally to me is the aspect of like the video editing, which with stuff like my intro, I made that entire thing completely. My Hat in Time review, I recorded all of the footage for that myself, didn't take any from YouTube.
Love that game.
Yes, I actually got him to buy it.
Yeah,
but
it was worth it, every cent and every dollar.
But one small thing about editing that I did not quite enjoy was last night while I was working through the footage for the gaming segment that I'm using for this episode. For some reason, as I was editing it, when I went to export a clip, the folder where I had exported all of the other clips beforehand just vanished, and I had to do all of it again.
I hate that.
Yep. Welcome to the computer world.
I hate when
Anyone else? Easiest, the part that came the easiest to you?
Probably gonna be QLab, but I had already had prior experience thanks to Stagecraft, so.
Camera switcher.
Yeah.
That's just.
Oop, oop. Yeah, there's the buttons.
David.
Okay. And the last question, and I like this question because it's a really good and insightful question. It's the question I probably would have asked you as the teacher anyway. You phrase it a little bit differently. I would have asked the question, what did you learn? You asked it, do you think you'll use these skills in your careers in life? And so let's take it from your angle of the question. Do you think you'll use these skills in your careers in life?
I mean, it's in consideration. I mean, I would probably when I get out of here, I'll probably go do a little bit of news anchoring and stuff. I'll probably go like do a radio show when I get older. I don't know if that's gonna happen. I was always also looking towards doing music and all that stuff. So, I've been working on a few things, and I think this would be fun to do when you get out of there. It's pretty really interesting.
I've always loved video editing and all that jazz. It's just been my favorite thing since I can remember.
I've been doing this for since I was 12 years old.
Yeah, and from QLab and getting to learn how to do that, I think I can learn from all those things and how to use them in other camera jobs, learning how to edit with QLab and other programs and stuff like that.
I definitely feel like what I've done in this class will help me in the future because, like Lauren said, I'm definitely fond of video editing. I have several editing programs on both my phone and my computer, as well as anchoring. Like I've said, I would love to be able to use that kind of, I want to say, the kind of personality that I utilize while I'm anchoring. I would love to be able to do that as a profession. So getting the chance to actually practice that and improve on it, that's probably going to be a pretty decent stepping stone in the process of getting to where I want to be.
Any other responses to that question?
Yeah, I actually, yeah, I think I will use this because learning how to use QLab is actually made a lot of making videos and that a lot easier. So I think that with that by my side, I think it's going to be pretty easy.
I feel like it will be beneficial in the future for me because I would like to do a lot of camera stuff in the future. And obviously, we just learned how to use these cameras, and they're new cameras too, at the beginning of this class. And I feel like you'll definitely use this in the future. I know that for a fact.
I'd say the two careers that I would think about following are either wanting to like act on like movies and TV shows, or wanting to be a sports reporter. So obviously doing the sports report helps with that, and like learning like the process that goes into producing a weekly show really helps with stuff like that. But even like just being comfortable in front of a camera, like this gave me a lot more time in front of a camera than I probably ever had. So that's probably going to help a lot. So yeah, I'd say it would help.
So I have one more question that wasn't on the list for you guys before. Apparently you have questions for me. And this is, albeit might be a loaded one. Let's say I'm out there. I'm watching this show. I'm a student here at Kingswood or Farmington or Prospect Mountain, okay, or Molten Borough Academy. Any one of the 4 schools that send to the Lakes Region Technology Center. I don't really have designs on working in television studio production. Should I take this class?
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, I recommend it. Like, it's really fun when you get to know people and the equipment and, like, you know what you're doing, like, in the long run. I think it's pretty fun. I really recommend it.
Yeah.
Even if you don't, you can always learn. There's no point in not doing it. If you don't have any design, then great. That just means there's more to teach you. I mean,
Yeah, I feel like even if you don't have much interest in doing television stuff, it's still like it would still be surprisingly fun. Like you would be surprised with how enjoyable it can be when you're working with a good team of people. Because I was a bit iffy when I first joined, but I quickly became accustomed to it all because the team that I'm working with here, you guys rock. And when you've got a good group of people, it can make even the most mundane things exciting.
I think we were lucky to get just 6 of us because the other like LRTC classes, there's 20 of them. There's so many kids, and I think that because there's just 6 of us, it was more easier to connect and to get to know each other easier, to know how we work together as a team.
Yeah, I really enjoyed working with you guys. You guys, like, you know.
Yeah, I think
everything.
I think the smaller group size made it feel a lot more personal and a lot less like you're just a bunch of random students who are all thrown into the same place. It makes it feel a lot more like it's just a tight-knit group of friends instead of it being...
It feels like a family.
A class, you know?
Yeah. My observation of this group was that we had a particularly strong sense of teamwork all the way through, and as you guys worked, you got closer. Beyond that, each of you was not afraid to get in front of the camera. And, you know, there are some students who are, and they still do very well in the class. But when you have a group of people that are just like, yeah, I'll go in front of the camera, no problem, then you start to really go places, which I think was part of what your experience was. The other thing is that in this class, unlike probably many others, is there are hard deadlines here. It's not, well, I'll turn it in and I'll get 10 points off kind of thing. You guys have to record on Friday. That's it. Or, you know, we have to reset the clock. And so there are some challenges there that I think you guys rose to that really made the show what it was. So this is where, you know, I'm really hoping we'll see more of you guys in the second semester as we go on, even though the class may come to an end. I don't think your talents do, and I don't think your skills do. So we hope to see more of that. Now, I have questions here, but unfortunately the phone locked up. Do you guys remember your questions for me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, you want to fire away?
Yeah, sure.
All right, let's start down here. Jaden,
All right.
what's your question for me?
What do you like about teaching us?
Oh, God, everything. And that's not a cop-out answer.
I was nervous.
If you're talking about
the opposite.
specifically this class versus just like students in this class per se, everything. This is, you know, you have it in your head that the class is going to look a certain way and operate a certain way and achieve certain things. And then, you know, a group will come in and they'll just, over time, they're going to evolve and go in their own direction. I think if I had to pick like the superlative, when the students say, "Can we get another group photo?" that tells me everything that I need to know, that this is a group that loves working with one another. And that you will not believe how rewarding that little thing is.
Really?
When that kind of thing happens. That's, you say, okay, we have got a great synergy here, and that makes this, it doesn't become a job anymore. It just becomes, oh, let's get together with the group right now, and let's see where we go today. Damon, you had a question.
So what was it that got you interested in doing the production-based classes in the school? Stuff like the, you do the drama program, right?
Correct.
Yeah, stuff like the drama program, multimedia, all that kind of thing. What was it that got you interested in that subject in particular?
Okay, I'll try to keep this answer as short as possible because you have to hear the whole history of the East India Trading Company, really, to get all of it. But it comes from a combination of wanting to, having as a kid really enjoyed acting, video, theater, all those things that I got involved with in school. There was a small cable TV station in our school, and I got involved in that. And, you know, I got involved with the theater program and all of that. And I love those things, and they were the things that brought me to school every day. You know, that was my sport, if you will. And then having counter experiences working outdoors at a summer camp where we did something called experiential learning, where you learn by taking on projects and doing things and accomplishing things and hiking up mountains and climbing walls and putting skits together as a group. You learn about people, interpersonal skills. You learn about how to grow as a human being and teach others how to grow as a human being. I lived that experience growing up as well. And so I worked in the commercial industry for a little while and didn't find meaning in it. And I knew it was because we weren't really working with people to all better ourselves. Yeah. Okay? And this is where coming back into using those skills and things that I loved as a kid, when I became an adult, said, okay, I want to have both of those experiences, and how do I put them together? And this was the answer. So there it is.
Okay, so this is nothing to do with multimedia.
It's fine.
Nothing to do with it. But I want to know, man. I want to know. What is your favorite food?
My favorite food. Okay, I was dreading this question. I saw it before the phone shut off, because I'm going to have to cop to something that I really don't want to cop to. Boxed mac and cheese, probably.
Hold up.
Probably.
No.
I mean, I love a lot of different types of foods. I will admit it. I love a lot of different types of food. But what's the go-to, folks? Let's say the family goes away to my in-laws, and I'm left alone in the house. What's coming out is probably the boxed mac and cheese.
Seriously?
Seriously.
Not even
Used to
homemade.
like mac and cheese.
No, man. No, there's something,
I'd rather
you know,
eat boxed mac and
I'm
cheese
not
than
proud of
homemade.
myself. I am who I am, okay?
At least you could have said pizza.
Pizza's great, too. I'd probably do pizza, too.
Dude.
But, okay, I think I've already shamed myself enough. Lauren, go ahead.
I think mine's best saved for last.
Okay, we're going to go over here to Elliot then.
So, if it wasn't going to be this job, what would you have wanted to do?
If it wasn't this job, what would I, oh my God. Whew. I don't know. To be honest, like all the things I thought I wanted to do as a kid turned out to not be the things I wanted to do. And this was something that I tried because it seemed like a logical choice. So, and I tried it and went, yeah, no, this is it. I found it, right? And so I never really considered beyond that, what would I do? For a little while, I might have answered just kiddingly marine biologist because I love scuba diving, right? I don't know. Honestly, whatever it would be similar to this, but maybe in a different type of setting. For a little while, I hear about people who go to prisons and direct plays there to help the inmates sort of rehabilitate, and I thought, like, that seems like some hardcore stuff. That, you know, once in my life, if I did that, I might feel like I've really checked a box somewhere. But honestly, I don't know. I'm pretty happy with my universe where it is. I don't have a ready answer for that. Yeah. So, Devin.
Okay. Well, I'm going to change up my question just a tiny bit. If you could go back and then change anything you've done, what would it be?
Probably telling us about the
I know
Boston
this
mac and
one.
cheese
I
thing.
know this one. Are you talking recent history or like way back?
Like, if you could go back in time and change one thing, what would it be?
Okay, then that would be simple. Only on the academic front, because the tapestry of my life is played out exactly as how it needs to be. But what I will say is if you're looking for, if I could go and make a change that wouldn't affect the present, except for the better, I probably would have made sure that my education was more well-rounded to what I am doing now, right? I thought I wanted to work in television and or theater, and so the major reflected that. There was no education courses there at the time, because it didn't occur to me that I wanted to go into education. Only now, umpteen million years later, and I want to really say umpteen million years later, I look back and say, you know, a good grounding, your education is the foundation to everything that you can possibly do later on. And the more well-rounded it is, the better chance that you have. Because whatever you decide to do, if you can call upon those roots and that foundation, it's a beautiful thing. So, and that's honest to God the only thing I think I would change.
Oh, yeah.
So, Warren.
Genuine question.
Okay.
Out of all 6 of us, which one is your favorite student?
It's clearly got to be me.
Well,
I would assume it would be the one who is his sub.
Like
actually, the answer would surprise you. And the answer in this case is...
We might never know.
The world may never know. Anyway, that about wraps things up for today's episode. I'm going to miss this. It's been a lot of fun being able to anchor for Night Watch, being up on the camera, being able to put my personality out there. We've had a lot of fun with this show. Things like Nightmare Watch, where I got to put on that whole character, or things like that one time where I accidentally ruptured the space-time continuum and everybody swapped segments.
Not to mention all the inside jokes like, have you ever heard of a dad?
Oh yeah, we've made a lot of good memories on this set, and to be quite honest, I am going to miss the left side of this table, so
Aww.
we hope that you have enjoyed this as much as we have, and it's been fun. It's been a wild ride. So thank you to, first of all, everybody on the Night Watch production team. We couldn't have done this without your help. And the way that we all came together made it feel more like we were a tight-knit group of friends and less of a class. It felt welcoming, and I genuinely really appreciate it. And to all of you out there in the audience, thank you for tuning in for each episode, for listening to me ramble on about video games, for Lauren sharing the latest in the entertainment, Bobby reviewing whatever song he likes. It's all just been so much fun, and we can't thank you enough for giving us this opportunity. So, from the entirety of the Night Watch team, thank you for watching. This has been Damon Thurber.
And I'm Lauren Gilbert.
And we will see you when we see you.